Hey y'all, what's up? It's your girl, Sheila Marie, and this is my lovely husband, Ace Hood.
Ace.
And this is Couch Conversations. Today we're talking about privacy and publicity, which is not always the easiest thing to be private and public, or to figure out how much privacy, how much publicity. How do you feel like, I kind of stumbled through it in the beginning of our relationship. I'm an oversharer. You know, I feel like sharing and transparency and vulnerability connect people, but it is also tricky because a relationship involves two people. So I'm trying to be authentic to who I am, but still be mindful of your boundaries. How did I do?
I think you're doing great, honey, and you've done great. I think earlier on in our relationship, like, she was a huge sharer, you know, and for her, I just want to, because I know how social media can be, because social media is a space that can build you up, but it can also tear you down in the same sense. And like, you know, in our dynamic, it's important that she has a safe space, especially if she's gonna be able to share herself emotionally to the fans and to the people and stuff. So one of the phrases that I always use with her, I'm like, man, you don't want to bleed in the water. You know what I'm saying? Which is like, you know, sharing too much of yourself, and then that leads to judgment of outside people and stuff, especially from opinions of people who ain't in the arena with you, doing the work with you, on your side with you. So I am a sharer, but I am very strategic about what it is that I do share, because some things are just very private for me. I hold that in my, you know, my safe space. So we've navigated through that, but earlier on there was difficulty moving through that.
I feel like I learned that from you. Where we are now is we're somehow more public and also more private. So I'd be curious to see how you guys work through privacy and publicity. You have a following.
I do.
So you talk online about your relationship. I know you talk a lot about business.
I do.
How do you guys figure it out between the two of you?
Yeah, so I'm Coriel. I have a podcast now, but I've been in this space of like relationship-ish for like over a decade.
Heavy on the ish.
Heavy on the ish, because sometimes it's some ish, okay? But even before him, so I started a business called the Single Wives Club, when I was a single woman trying to prepare to become a wife. So I had to be very vulnerable, you know, in talking about getting out of an abusive relationship, and talking about how I was preparing to get into, you know, to become a wife that I saw myself as being, with no preparation. So people were already all up in my business. Not only were they all in my business was me being a single woman preparing for a husband.
Your business is your business.
My business was in my business. So enter a husband or a man into this situation. Now he is the man that I've been preparing for, and all of the, you know, all of this, the conversation that I've had was about him, even though he didn't exist yet, if that makes sense. So he is the manifestation of the work that I did, but the people want to know about the manifestation. The people want to meet the manifestation. So you can't, right? They're like, where is he? How can we get one of these? So you can't.
Wait, did you mean to do that manifestation?
I didn't. It worked out. My man. He is the man. He is the manifestation, right? So I think it's kind of like when people have been on your journey. Like if we have been putting all of our business out there, I'm so in love, this is my man, and then we break up, and I never talk about him again. The people are like, well, where is the man? You know, like what happened? And so for me, because I was on this journey of being so super single, preparing for this man, I couldn't just get the man and ride off into the sunset. I felt like it was my responsibility to talk about the work that I did to attract this man, because that was my whole brand. And so he kind of stepped into something he probably wasn't prepared.
It was a little weird for me at first. Because I'm like the exact opposite. I'm very private, so.
And because of what he does.
Yeah.
So he's a pharmacist. He's very much so, his profession is much more buttoned up. Mine is like, I'm out here, right? I'm out in the open, and when you build a personal brand, you gotta be personal, right? People wanna be personal with you. And so because of, I guess, what he's accustomed to, he wasn't prepared for it. And I think the guys can probably talk to the point of you never prepared for it. It's not something that you really know how to navigate.
Never thought about it.
Yeah.
It was never like a reality for me.
So how was your experience at the beginning?
At the beginning, it was cool because we kind of eased into it. So like for a
He's
while,
lying,
she wouldn't
y'all.
show
Let me
me.
tell y'all.
At the beginning, it
Was it big shoes for you to fill?
It wasn't really big shoes. It was more so
or
like
the expectations.
Maybe the expectations.
That part,
So like,
that part.
I'm looking at her brand and what she represents, and it's like you said, I'm the manifestation of that. So now I'm supposed to be this person.
Yes.
Like sometimes I don't want to be that person.
He
maybe.
is that person, y'all know. He is that person. That was the thing. It's like he doesn't have to pretend.
Yeah,
He
I
doesn't have to
pretend,
fake
but-
it. He literally is the manifestation of all of the things that I had prayed for and prepared for and all of that. So that is pressure, even from me. And he says it sometimes, like I put him on this pedestal because he's just everything to me. So when he's not, it's like, wait a minute. But bringing it back to the publicity versus the privacy versus publicity, he almost didn't want to talk to me because he saw my Instagram. So he's kind of he's not being all the way honest now because it took him really understanding me and getting to know me as a person versus what he thought this girl with all these followers on Instagram was. So I think that's important too, because you get a bad rap sometimes when people think or assume you are a certain type of way because of your followers.
That's good.
What about you guys? How do you deal with the public versus?
Yeah, it's interesting. So I have a podcast called The Great Girlfriends. It's been around for 7 years. It started out audio, right? And it started out pre-Instagram. So, I won't say pre-Instagram, but early Instagram. So there was a lot of Facebook, et cetera. So the people that would commune over the podcast were in a separate world for me. It didn't feel like they were all connected. So I look at my life as very privately public. I'm still figuring out how much I want to be available on the public side of things because there is so much management there. He has Kwaku has zero interest in
She's
social.
publicity, I'm privacy. I
Don't want to
have
talk
anything.
about it, doesn't want to share it. We went through a phase. He'll dabble. He goes in and out of social media. When he's feeling good about it, he'll jump in and then he'll log out and he'll delete every post he ever created. And I'm like, are we okay? Is there a phase happening? What's going on?
I'm just done with it at that point.
And during those phases, I will flirt with him on social media. And I said, you know what? I'm done flirting with you on social because you're making me look single out here. Because you don't engage back.
Well, I would see it like 4 days later.
And still not respond, right? So I was like, you're not my Instagram husband. I'm not doing this with you.
No, I'm your real
because
husband.
you make it.
I'm your manifestation.
He's my manifestation. He's my manifestation because he was like very anti everything. And so we're still trying to figure out, because now we have a 14-year-old son and we have an 11-year-old daughter. And because our son's an athlete, he should be on social. How much do we share of that? Having people who have invaded our space makes me uncomfortable with sharing things in real time. So I might share it a day after I went to a restaurant or a day after, so I haven't figured out what is good, but what I do know is I'm super protective of what matters to me.
Absolutely.
The things that are very intimate to me, I'm very protective of how much exposure they get, when they get it. And it makes me sensitive to, when I share things in marriage, I try not to share things that we haven't come to conclusion on.
Right.
Wow, that's what I was going to say. That is the exact, you took the words out of my mouth. Is that I was thinking through like, well, what did I learn? What have I learned through sharing? And I feel like the biggest thing I've learned is timing. For example, we did a reality show and I shared about my miscarriage on the reality show and it was too early. It was too soon for me. Like, then I had all of these people giving me advice and saying things and commenting on the way I was dealing with it and you need to deal with it better and this, and I was like, oh my God, I was like so vulnerable. I felt like, like a little, I just want to go in the corner. And I realized like, okay, so it's not that I didn't want to share, but maybe I need to make sure that I'm working through it, think about what my motivation is for sharing, like what do I hope to gain from sharing this?
Right.
And if a part of my sharing is like, I want to commune with other women, I need to make sure I'm okay first before I put that out. That was something that I learned.
The Instagram doctors will give you all of the advice.
And they mean well. I feel like I have the best community, but
Sometimes they
some of them don't.
Right.
They can go to hell.
Some of them don't know what mean well mean. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm not very social at all for just on purpose. But the thing I enjoy about, Sybil's social media presence is she's not any different on social than she
ain't
is
putting
at home. Because I would have a problem if she was different, if she was flaunting or saying, hey, we went to Milan and we're in the backyard. No, that's not.
Okay.
We're not capping out here.
sense.
That's not what we're doing.
Because social media is such a dangerous place. It's like, to me, it's like a stadium.
Yeah.
And in that stadium, you'll find that there are a lot of cheap seats.
Yep.
There are a lot of people who want to weigh in on what you do.
Come on, Brene Brown.
That have never in your life done anything for you or not going to do anything for you.
Right.
So, but what I love about, watching my wife do it is she plays authentically when she does. When she puts a post up, it is after we've that meant so much to me. When you put something out there that we've discussed after it's resolved, it makes me feel like, okay, good. We've gotten through it. Now other people can learn from it.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or take whatever they want. If they want to comment bad stuff, well, I'm not reading them anyway.
Yeah.
I'm reading them. Do y'all read them?
I do. I read
Sometimes.
them, and then I have to ask myself, am I going because I can clap, right? So I'm like, am I?
Period.
We will.
I'll find myself out. I'm supposed to be here, spiritual, happy, and healthy. I'll be cussing y'all out all day.
I'm like-
First of all, you don't know me like that. And I'm like, really, shit, who
Yeah,
you
like
talking
why?
to?
And I have to ask myself how much they matter because I don't want to crowdsource opinions.
I mean,
and
a
all
little
the
is
things.
okay, just so they know not to play with you.
I blog, and then
It's just a little. You just do it so they see it, and then you delete it.
and then
Then you delete it after they've seen it. Then you.
That's
delete
good
it.
advice. That's good
Because
advice.
I feel like people
I've
have
learned that over time.
unrealistic expectations of people that share.
Yeah.
There's this myth of you never being affected. That it doesn't matter. You don't know these people.
Yeah.
It's just haters, and it's not. It's not just
Yeah.
haters. Sometimes
Yeah.
people say something to you that actually resonates.
Yeah,
Or,
absolutely.
Or something. There's a
good
little
stuff.
truth behind what they said, and then what you gonna do with that?
I just think you can't tell me how to receive something. It's
Exactly.
and I think you see it with celebrities all the time. It's like you will literally tear these people down to the ground. Then they respond to one person, and then people are like, well, you're supposed to be, ain't you a celebrity? Don't you got something better to do?
You're
And
supposed
it's
to be
like,
above this
I'm
or
a-
that.
no, I'm a
Still
human. I have feelings. You hurt my feelings, and you're
And
gonna get what you
don't
get.
own me, so you don't get to
And you
control.
can't tell me how to respond.
Come
You can't tell me
on.
how I should receive this. I should just brush it off. No, I didn't. I took offense to it.
Right.
I'm gonna give you something to be offended by now,
Right.
and then we're gonna move on.
Right.
It's like this weird assumption well, you were public, you asked for it, you put yourself out, so you should be able to take any level of abuse that people throw at you with grace all the time.
I think that's a part too that I didn't consider until literally right in this moment, how that could impact your partner.
Yes.
Because he be like, why you be arguing with them people? I'm like, oh, you saw that? I didn't delete it quick
I
enough.
see it. I see it every time.
He does. He be saying it. He be saying it every
I
time.
be in the comments
He
most
don't,
of the time.
but
I'm
he
like,
catch it somehow. The spirit be like,
I'm
get
like,
your
what are you
wife. He be like, what
we doing today?
He sent me in that phone.
But it could go it could go another way where he starts to feel some type of way. Now he has to defend me. That puts him in a position.
okay.
I never thought about that though. So now in this moment I'm thinking I don't ever want
That's
to
why
put
I don't do the comments. So I'm
Yeah.
like,
No, that's
I don't play
smart.
around with
That's
that. You know what I
smart.
mean? It's like
I be playing
people on the
around.
internet. I feel like the comments have turned into this thing where let me say the most outlandish things.
so I can get your attention.
You know, let me get your attention. And so I know that. So I'm just like, you gotta be aware of it. But I get it.
And I realized that too. I'm like, you can't disrespect. We can disagree.
That part.
I'm okay with us disagreeing, but we're never going to allow disrespect to invade my space. Now, what you do in your space is your business, but in my space, I'm not gonna allow you to disrespect someone else who's commenting, or my husband, or my family, or anyone on this sofa. If you're in my community or my village, you're not gonna disrespect. And so I find myself having to reinforce respect. Let's have conversations, but let's not disrespect, because then you cross the line, and we're gonna be able to be human. And I think I'm okay with you being human in whatever you're doing. And like you said, you realize you shared too much too early. You need to heal from that. And you need to be respected in that space and not torn down and have 50 comments of why you shouldn't have shared too soon, and does she even love Ace? What's going on with their relationship? Because that happens. It's like, no, you still deserve the respect. And I think if I love that in your responses and in the way you manage your social media, you are mindful of teaching people respect. Because some people don't come to the table with that.
Yeah.
They come in there to clamor and to claw away at what you have.
So with us, in terms of social media, maybe sometimes there are a little bit a discomfort around it sometimes in terms of maybe being present. Because the thing, I feel like social media is constantly telling you who you should be, right? So I think that sometimes we can get caught up into that. So I think that's what I used to see. Maybe sometimes that'll happen is her attention span may not always be present. So it may be based upon looking in the comment or seeing this or seeing that. And sometimes it gets a little annoying, you know what I'm saying? Maybe, you know what I mean?
I don't know how he has a barricade around him. He doesn't let any of it, but for me, I'm a little bit more connected. So.
Because I think about the intentionality of people sometimes in terms of I know ultimately they want to be seen, and ultimately if you say a comment, you're really referring to yourself. Because you know nothing about me. Yeah. So I know you're just projecting in order to get a response out of you know what I mean, out of me. So that's kind of where it lives within me, but I think for the most part, I let her be you know what I mean, as she is and have her own experience and stuff, and do not judge that. I've gotten to that space now, but sometimes in the past, I'd be like, honey, why you sharing so much? You don't need, you know what I'm saying? Like, you almost feel like you owe them an explanation sometimes for certain things that you may go through, and I may feel like that's unnecessary. So how do you guys like navigate that, or would you like to counter that point?
Oh no, I agree with you.
Okay.
Like, that's what I be doing. You're right.
On point.
I'd say for us, I think it comes in when, like, for me, like family and friends, and knowing things that maybe I didn't want to share with them yet.
He'd be mad.
So
People
that'd be
know
a lot
all
of
his business.
people knowing my business, know where I am, know what I'm doing, you know what I bought my wife for Mother's Day, or it's little things like that to where I think my family and friends get into our business.
So how do you?
How much did you spend on that? Where
How
did
do you
get
deal
that
with
from?
that? Like, do you address it in the moment, like, hey, or does it?
I think I address it occasionally, which I'm not really. It doesn't upset
so-
me, but it
yeah.
is like something I got to deal with. Like, oh, man,
He's so
Mom, no.
cool. Like, it might. I tell people he has the patience of a preschool teacher with me because stuff probably annoys him
That's
so
a lot of-
much that I never even know that it's. I mean, that's probably bad for him.
I wouldn't say annoy me to that point because I will say
It
something.
bothers
Yeah,
him,
no,
but
no.
he
Are
doesn't.
you silent? What
What is that? Maybe
silence,
he gonna blow up one day or something, huh?
She said.
I feel like I'm of the understanding that I know that this is a business for her also. So like I know that, like you said, she's the same person on and off the internet. So generally when she posts, it's something, about me or about our relationship. Or, something she's enjoying that we're doing. So it's never like something I could take offense to. It's just, dang, I wasn't ready to
He
tell
needs to
them
know all
yet.
of that. Like his coworkers
we might be in
will
Vegas.
say something to him when he gets to work
Yeah,
on
my
Monday
coworkers,
about what
Monday
we
morning,
did
hey,
over the
Kendrick,
weekend.
I saw that.
So he gets annoyed with that, but I don't know
What
these
post
people.
are you
I
talking
can't
about?
stop them from following me. Like,
So it's more so an annoyance outside of our relationship than it is
him being mad.
what you over there doing. Why you posting this? That doesn't really
I'm
bother me.
probably not even. I don't even do. He tries to get me to do more of the showing and the because I don't want to do that. I want to go to this restaurant and enjoy it. I'm not thinking about getting all of the angles and panning the food and doing all of that. And he's sometimes like, you should do more of that. So he tries to get me to, he's.
But I understand what
he was
social
built
media
for
is
this.
for.
I actually
Like you
agree
said,
with that,
people want to
right?
be seen. They know why you're posting what you're posting about.
Yeah.
So I understand that aspect of it from
The business part.
Yeah, from the
If
business
you in
part.
a beautiful space or something, do you feel like, it's a question for the guys, I would say, like, do you feel like if you are in a space that may be beautiful, right, that has all the amenities, it's just, you just put on for your wife, or just you're in the beauty, like, are you more like willing to like, oh, like, let's share this, or like, get the chef.
I'm usually okay with that.
Get the, you feel me? Get the pool now. Make sure you don't forget that. You feel me? Make sure you get the bins now, because better than like, does that change for you guys or no?
Psych on your life. Yes, he does.
I don't believe so.
I do think you want to celebrate it more. I think you want to. Like, I feel. This was a question for the husband, so let me be quiet.
No, please answer. Let me extend
I
that to
personally
you guys.
feel as this husband, likes to celebrate the things that he selects to celebrate. So it's selective celebration, right? And then the things that I think are valuable, he's like, that's cool, but you're missing all of these. So I do feel like there's things that profile him more that he would like to celebrate more of that he might
What, on
not see.
social?
Yeah, like if I'm capturing content, you will say, tilt this way, make sure you get this.
Oh, well, I'm a
pay
creative
attention.
director, so if
Look at
we're gonna do it,
Yeah. If we gonna do it,
if we're gonna do it, I'm gonna add the right
Hey,
angle.
baby, no, let me get this angle, huh? Go back.
Right,
Do it
right.
again.
He's like,
I'm
he might
I'm
barely
like, move
smile.
that pillow,
But
move
he'll,
the,
he'll catch all of that. But you said something about presence that I think every husband might appreciate, because it definitely resonated with me, because I went through a very long phase of like late night scrolling, responding to DMs from the bed, and you asked, would it create a distraction in the marriage? And yes. Because he'd be
100%.
like, hey girl, he's the one to do Team of Moody After Dark. And I'm like,
I'm trying to
let
do-
me respond to these DMs first. let me go onto these, because I would only do it at a certain time of night so I could try to control it. But it was his time of night. So he was like,
hey,
Stop inviting these people into our
bedroom. That's what he would say. Stop inviting these people into the bedroom. I'm like, they are not in the bedroom. But then I was like, oh, he trying to have after dark time. And I'm in here.
And you over here trying to have the DM orgy, right?
hear that?
Everybody in the bed.
And I'm bringing all these people in the room. So I did learn, like, okay, cut that out. Before you get in the bed, get off of the ground, like put all that to the side, because that's our quality
That's
time.
his time.
That's his time.
Yeah.
And he's signaling me, and I was missing the signal because I was so busy trying to work through responding.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, because at the end of the day, these people in your comments and the DMs and whatever, they're not helping you grow us.
Facts.
At all.
Facts. Yeah.
I'm fine with you sharing whatever it is because it's authentic. I'm perfectly fine with that. But at a certain point, and I understand it's a business too, because I couldn't live 2 seconds if I had to every time, because things like she'll get a box. And then I'm like, open the box. No, I can't open the box.
I gotta reveal.
I gotta do a video
touch that box.
of everything in the box.
I have to
And I'm
unbox.
like, just open the box. Just open it up. What's or if we're out eating, let me take a picture of this food. Me and the kids are eating.
Yeah, I'm already
I
like,
gotta tag the restaurant.
Yeah.
You messing me up. Yeah.
So, but I understand the cadence of the business. However, just like any other business, you got to turn it off
Yes.
at a certain point. And I'm good. At that point, then we can be. But the thing that annoyed me was it was Insta flirting.
It was.
I had no idea what Insta flirting is.
What is it
What
called?
is this?
Wait, but hold
So
on.
she made it up.
Okay.
I
Thank
made
you.
it up. It was me flirting
She
with
would
you.
flirt with me on Instagram
Oh, I
and then
thought-
wait for me to
See,
respond on
right?
Instagram.
He made it sound like I was cheating on
Yeah.
Instagram.
That's what I.
No. It was with
Not
me.
black love.
It was with
Right.
me.
Okay,
But
so
she-
you're supposed to respond in the comments.
Yeah, she'd be like, look at my husband, he looks so good. And
Nah, you supposed to
saying
come
that.
back.
Right.
You
Thank
supposed to
you.
come back and be like, "Thank you, babe. I love you." Heart,
You know the
kiss,
rules.
bro,
You know that?
kiss, hug, emoji. Best hashtag wife, hashtag you the bone, hashtag
Eggplant.
I love you. All that.
whatever.
That's
Yeah.
foreplay. Let's talk about it. That's foreplay. That's
And I
setting
had to
up
learn that
Timberly
is.
after
I didn't
dark.
know what that was. I was like,
No, you're right.
we can't do that with each other. Like,
But I noticed, is it a coincidence or not? Like, it seems like all the men share less, and the
Yeah,
women of the
and we
group
share more.
Very
seem
much
to
so.
share more.
Yeah.
Natural
Is
for
that-
So
men.
I think one thing that we've dealt with that maybe y'all can identify with on his end, because I share so much, you can go to his page. He probably has not posted this year. Maybe we had a child this year, so he might have posted the child being born, maybe.
Right.
So that's how he
much
posts.
pressure,
Like
too much
life
pressure.
moments, he posts.
Yeah.
Or
Too
he'll
much pressure.
repost what I've posted. So he's gotten comments from his friends whose wives are like, well, how come he don't post Coriel?
That
She
part,
posts
yeah.
him. Because I post him all day long.
Yeah, so
but
that
I
part
am
is a
in
little-
this space. My
Right.
podcast,
Right.
it's about money and honey.
Yeah.
Making the money, get you some honey. I got to talk about my honey, right?
Right.
So that is a part of what I do. And I really actually like him. So it's
Yes.
it's not like crafted
Yeah.
where I'm
Yeah.
curating posts.
Right.
It's real.
Yeah, it's real.
But he don't do that. And I don't care. But other people on the outside will see she's posting him all the time.
He don't never
He
post
ain't
it.
never posting her. And so that I think is a conversation that outside people can have that could make him start being fake and posting me because he
Right.
thinks that I care when I really
But
I
it
don't
made
care
me
about
stop and think though, because I asked you about that.
he did.
And she's never mentioned it. It's never been an issue. But I was like, maybe I need to ask because somebody else said something. Maybe
Somebody-
she
yeah.
secretly has this issue that.
I wish she would
You
post
know what I
me
mean?
all day.
But I asked her and she was like, no, I don't
I
care.
don't care about that.
Yeah.
great. If I'm busy loving you.
Right, the outside opinions, that can
Yeah.
also
But yeah, if
be
I gave
like
it to the
a-
outside
Yeah,
opinions,
it
I'd be,
Yeah.
hey,
Let me fake
making
it.
up
Yeah,
stuff,
let me
you know?
fake
I'm
post.
faking that.
Right.
Yeah. And then we mad at each other secretly.
You know what's interesting?
no reason.
I feel like I have, I was just, as you were talking, it came to me, I'm like, I have an interesting relationship with you and your social media because I feel like, I'm gonna quote Esther Perel again, but she said you're most attracted to your partner when they're in their zone of genius. There's to me, I am always attracted to him, but there's a certain thing that I feel like comes out of him only when he's writing, he's performing, he's touring. I get to see him in dad mode all day. I get to see them in husband mode. But then when he turns on this star mode, it's like a whole nother, I'm like, oh, so I'll be on the gram and I'll see a post and I'm like, wait, that's my husband. Whoa. I always have this outer body thing, wow, he's so cool. I think he's it's so cool for me to I always be wondering, because he doesn't post a lot. So when he posts, I'm so interested. What did he say today? What did he post? And I love it. I feel like it's don't I come run to you in the house? I'd be like, that post you made. I'd be like, wow, just want to make sure this one is this one. Wow. It's such a cool, I don't know when that happened.
Seeing him
love
in
that,
his
though.
I feel like I get to see him
element.
outside of myself sometimes.
Look at the smile on his face.
I
He's
do,
like,
I do
yeah,
love that
yeah.
though. I do love that. And I think too, I wonder if for maybe for us as men, is it partly somewhat working through certain insecurities or maybe certain ego, you know what I mean? Dealing with social media because there is so much comparison.
Yeah.
So I think there were times in which I was more private, not because I all of it was because I wanted to be. some of it was because I felt a little bit insecure maybe about the direction or maybe like the response. So like, especially evolving and walking into new spaces, becoming a new thing outside of my artistry and being a musician. So I think sometimes that's why I would be a little bit more private with my sharing because of like, all right, like the insecurities that I might feel of like, is people gonna accept this? Will they like this? Is this supposed to do well? You know what I'm saying? Type of thing. So I don't know if you guys can resonate with that at all, but if you have an experience, is it like that in your mind?
It's partly some of that because I don't have friends or family that are big on social media. So seeing us is like, a big thing to them. So like you said, being seen in a different light, sometimes that is something that, dang, I haven't thought about that. Like, what my homie's gonna say about this, you know what I'm saying?
That part.
Wait, how am I looking?
That part.
You turning me into this nice, soft, lovable husband.
I ain't
but,
no gentleman.
they gonna call me later on like, yeah, bro, I saw you.
I
saw you on the.
Yeah,
what y'all was doing?
It's very, so those are the experiences that we
it is
have.
something that you think about,
Yeah.
especially
Think about
not
that.
being.
But I've heard
public
people
person
say that
ever.
it's women, typically, if we're speaking generally, that it's women who control the narrative of a relationship.
Yeah.
So if you want to see, like, if usually they're doing the storytelling, they're
That
like,
part. You're gonna see it through our
See it through
Right.
that lens.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. That probably has happened, I think, for you because some of his guy friends were listeners of my podcast, and if I mentioned something
Right, to a woman's
the Great
podcast.
Girlfriends
Some of my
podcast.
homies.
My friends say
15%
my
of
friends
listeners
say
hey,
are
why
men.
not?
And
listen to her
they're
podcast.
probably his friends, or I'm not sure, but they would listen and they would comment things to him or respond like, oh, I heard y'all did this, or I heard y'all worked through boom, boom, boom. And I do wonder, like, did that affect you emotionally or make you feel like, dog, I'm exposed because my boys are listening to these type of things?
No, for two reasons. One,
Okay.
because, I'm secure and happy in what I have. Like, I hit a home run with you.
Okay.
So for my boys, like, hey, whatever you see is what you see.
Yeah.
But then even with me, it's like whatever we release, I'm happy with us releasing. I don't have a problem with it. It needs to be out there. I've had some of my homies call me and say, hey man, I learned a lot from when you guys did X, Y, and Z. And that's cool. I didn't mean for any of that to happen because we're just living.
Right.
But to go back to Ace, to your point, I had to get delivered because that's why I would delete everything every now and then because I'd be like, let me
It's
just
like he
start over.
flushes.
Let me start over.
But it was
We do that.
Yeah,
We'll
'cause I
flush
had to
in a
get rid of
minute.
stuff.
Yeah,
Wow.
So the rule I have for myself in social media when I get on is once I post something, the first thing I do is I like it myself, then I turn it off. That means everybody who was supposed to accept the post already accepted it.
Yeah.
Me.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That's it. That's why I posted it. And then I can move on and don't go look at the I don't look at anything. I don't try not to look at anything. I don't have that huge a following
But
or
why
anything.
don't you look at anything? Like, what are you avoiding? If
Because I'm still working through acceptance. We're all
Oh,
as
so
human
then
beings.
right-
Yeah, I'm still
Yes,
working
that's
through
what I'm
like,
saying. Yeah.
is anybody?
Yeah.
Because look, I do art, so it's like, is anybody gonna like what I did? But the reality is, it was good when I liked it, and
Yeah.
that was it.
That was enough.
That's
so
really it.
important.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the boundaries that I've put in place for social media is I like to be present, So I know the hold that social media can have over you. So I think for me, like I do the same thing, Kwaku, in terms of like posting and then allowing it to be. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to going back and then maybe even carrying the judgment first upon myself of like, oh, this wasn't that. So I think just being able to be present and like release. So half the time, because I just have this idea in my mind that I don't want social media and or a phone to control my life because electronics do enough of that. To me, they want the disconnection.
Yeah.
So for me, that's how I tend to navigate it. It's just to really not have it and only arrive is when it's time to handle business. If I'm gonna make a post, I make a post and then that's done with. So it's I learned that in reading something specific in terms of my phone is used for something specific,
Right.
like everything else is. So if this is used for calling or emailing and maybe just social posting, and that's it. You know what I mean? And then I move on from there.
Yeah, I'm just
What
gonna
is that
take notes
experience?
because I'm not the one to speak on boundaries with social media.
We're working on that. We're working on that.
Working on it.
Yeah, and to speak on our
listen.
dynamic too is like, with her, she is more of a poster, but I trust her. Even with our kids, like, saying like, we have, I have 2 children outside from my previous mother of my children or whatever. So with our dynamic, I trust, just the decisions she made because she is so motherly, so nurturing, and she understands to not offend anybody or only put things that's going, just give an insight on just like the blended family and just like the way that we, you know what I mean? The way that we parent and just her love for them, which I love that her love gets to shine naturally because of who she is. And that's one of the things that draw me to her. So how have you entered like boundaries within social media?
I would say for us,
we have 2 little babies.
I would say because what she does, I've seen the impact it's had on people. So like I've been with her when people walk up and say, hey, I was listening to your podcast back in 2010 and I quit my job because of you. And now I have $1 million business. I've seen that like several times. So I know like the impact she has on people. So I try not to, step in the way of that. I feel like I trust her. I trust her discernment.
Shout out to the trusting husband.
Yeah, that's major.
Yes.
I trust
He does, but he didn't have to lay that hammer down a couple times when it comes to the kids. When it comes to
sometimes I just want stuff from me though. You know,
Yeah.
I think because I'm a new father, so it's like it's weird when like I'm at work and like somebody outside in the world might see my kids before I do. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't see them this morning.
Oh, that's
So
good consideration.
I wake up and I see them on Instagram.
I see what you
I
mean.
love to see them, but it's like for
Somebody
somebody else
else
to
got
see
to
that,
see
it's
mine.
like, wait a minute, I'm supposed to see that first. Send that to me before you post it, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So maybe something like that when it comes to the kids, like having certain things that only I see, that only we can talk about, only we have a memory of. But she does good with it. I feel like there hasn't been a time where I was like upset about something, but it is like now that we have kids, it's like, oh, wait a minute. Somebody else looking at them, you know?
We
It's
did
like,
have to have a conversation about what's off limits, but we
and she
agreed
will
with
ask
all
me
of
that.
that.
She
Yeah,
will
look,
say, hey, baby, I'm doing an interview
Yeah.
tomorrow on this topic. Is there anything that you don't want me to talk about?
That's good.
because I don't ever
Like,
want
okay.
him to. I don't ever want him to secretly resent me or secretly feel like he knows that this is my livelihood, like this is what I do for work, this is part of my purpose. So I know he gets that, but I still don't want him deep down to be feeling some type of way, but not wanting to say anything and tiptoeing around.
Yeah.
So I do try to, get his permission. Wink, wink, wink. Before I do anything, I do try to get his permission. So
But we've done, like I said, with the boundaries, I think she's fairly private.
I
Even
am
though she
pretty
shares a
private.
lot, she's very private. So we haven't had too many instances where it's like, all right.
he's never said, "No, you need to take that down."
You
We
take
have
that down.
never
Yeah,
had
I've never
that. I
had-
can say that.
I've never had anything I had to be like, hey, take that down.
Yeah, we haven't had that.
Don't post that.
Yeah.
No, I think for us it's the same. I think that whole thread of trust from us guys resonates with me extremely because it is like because she would post things. Our kids are 14 and 11.
Yeah.
But she posted since they were younger.
Little
Babies.
Yeah.
And I do feel you. Now I never thought that, like, oh man, I don't get to see him, but everybody else does. Because I would sit and watch my kids on,
I watch my
on
kids.
social media as well.
Yeah.
And it was great. But ultimately, it is a trust issue because she's so authentic when she posts. And I think that is a message for everybody. What we don't realize is a lot of these people who seem public on social media are really very private.
Very.
Yeah.
They're not sharing every single thing.
Yeah.
You know,
picking.
because I'll watch my wife, she'll be very public, post, and then she'll disappear for 2 days.
That's true.
Because
Yeah.
she needs to kind of regroup and get herself together and experience life. And we have moments and things happen. But it's really trust. Yeah, we haven't had to set boundaries.
No.
I've never had to say to you, don't post that.
No.
Because I go into it implicitly trusting that, one, you're human, so you're open to make a mistake. It's okay,
Yeah.
and your intent is not to make a mistake. Because I think the saddest thing that we do in life is, and we talk about it all the time, the saddest thing we do in life is we judge everybody else by their actions, but we want to be judged by our intentions.
Okay, bars.
So,
That was a bar.
but it's real. But so
give
for
everybody else
but so for
Agreed.
yes,
Agreed.
so for us, it's like, okay, if you made a mistake, cool, we can walk it back. It's not too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and then she
we're
may
all
need to
figuring it
retreat and
out.
heal for a second, and I'm here with you when you heal. And let's go, let's do it because
Yeah.
we're doing this together. She made this decision 7 years ago to start this brand she's in, 8 years ago almost now.
Yeah.
And the only caveat that I had was, if you're gonna do it, just do all of it. Just go.
Yeah.
Go and commit
Yeah.
to it, and she has. So I don't have any complaints socially.
No. I think boundaries that I had to set were because the kids were growing so fast in front of me, and I was trying to catch I mean, just every moment. Like, I just wanted it all. And then I was like, I'm trying to post it because our family doesn't live in the same city as us. So I was like, this is communications. Here they go for the day. Here go your morning picture. Here they are crawling, walking, right? Like, I was doing milestones, and I'm like, so I kind of used it as like my communication system to the world. And even now, we've moved to LA, and I still use it as a way to communicate out. So I think, if you want to have a boundary, figure out how and why you're going to use it so the function serves who you are, like in your marriage, and how you want to show up for the world. But then also the boundary that was so important for me was to use quiet mode. When I tell you I had to turn on quiet mode between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. so that I wouldn't like chase responses or go in stories and just be checking on my friends, just, or shopping. Y'all see how it happens to you. Yeah. And then with our children evolving, I could post them as much as I wanted. They didn't care. They didn't even know what the pictures looked like. Now they do.
Yes.
So I do hear them when they're saying, Mom, I didn't like the picture. Okay, I should have asked them. I should be more considerate that now they have their own social worlds. Yeah. And if I want to respect who they are becoming, I need to just kind of tap in and go, hey, how y'all like this picture? And we ain't gonna agree on all of them, but for the majority, I try to check in and say, how does this look? Are you guys cool with this? Because I have a whole high schooler. He cares about his angles. My daughter, they care. And so I'm like, all right, let me be conscious of that. Let me check in so that they don't feel offended by my social media or they don't resent me. Because, like you said, it can happen with your husband and it can happen with your kids really quickly. Your family's not receptive to what you're putting out there. So just being conscious of that and checking in with people that matter to you, right? Because if I care about them, my husband and my children, I have to care that what I'm doing supports that intimacy that we share and is not a weapon used against us.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree. I think because sharing can be extremely powerful as a tool to connect people, to tell your story. And I guess what we've learned today, what I'm learning, because I'm learning from all of you, is like how to balance between, it's almost like that metaphor of the cheap seats that you said earlier. It's like we're in the arena, we're sharing, and maybe you just have to decide who's in the arena with you. Like who are the people who are, even if they're fans or your friends that follow you, but when you share publicly, who are the people's opinions that get to permeate, that get to come in? Like who else is in the arena with you? And maybe there's just some people who you keep on the cheap seats, meaning you develop boundaries like, okay, maybe I don't have to take all of that in. So I'm gonna take all of these lessons with me.
And I'm taking from you guys.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. I feel like I learned so much today.
Thank you.
And yes, I'm probably just gonna go post on IG now. So.
I can say one thing for me too, to add. When I got with her, she was already big on social media. And so that was a decision I literally had to make when I wanted to marry her. Like, am I okay with this? If it goes this direction or that direction, am I cool with it? And that was something that I decided to do. So, how can I hold that against her now?
Wow.
There you go.
So,
In it, baby. Come on. And he on the couch today, y'all. So he in it now.
she got me here. So this is,
baby.
I love it.
And I do want to say that hearing you guys like share your stories, it's like what I've recognized is that whether it's good or bad, like there's always been something good that's come from it, because I think even in terms of you guys building your businesses, like people were able to see humility, like in like you say, human beings, right? So even if you might have posted something that felt like it was too early or too soon, still like it allowed people to connect to you in a very authentic way of like, all right, this person is like me. And ultimately those are the things like the people, to me, businesses in the world, like you need that level of authenticity, and you have to go through sometimes those like failures of like, oh, okay, like in order to understand, because it brought that community closer to her. Same ones that were maybe criticizing, it brought it closer in terms of like, we love you. Now when I'm out and I'm going places, we love her so much. We love her, you know what I'm saying? So I think it was all beneficial, like, so is life, so is death. So it's like, it's beautiful. And
That was beautiful.
Love
we
that.
appreciate you.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.